Let's do it.
Okay, I am recording, and I guess follow Kyle's lead. He's been through this a couple times when we were practicing today, so.
All right.
Rock and roll.
Here. Okay.
We have to look at each other's eyes.
Yes.
All right, live from Dogleg Brewery in Fort Worth, Texas. It's time for You Can't Brew That on television. Now here are your hosts, Brewmasters Kyle and the Reverend Ryan Bono. Hey, guys.
How you doing, Rich? It's nice to see you. How's Houston treating you?
Oh, it's getting along. I miss you guys.
Well, good. Not in the midst of the worst global warming ice storm ever like we've had here in Dallas-Fort Worth. That's good to know.
It's been pretty brutal.
Yeah.
It's been ridiculous. You know that movie, Volcano?
Yes, Volcano?
Nothing like that.
Okay, well, that's good. All right, well, everybody, we're glad we're having you here. We're going to start this show off. Basically, this is our first dry run of what's going on. We don't really know exactly how the format of this show is going to end up. We do know some of the things that we want to add, some of the things we want to talk about. So, first thing that we're going to do with each show is bring a beer in to try and taste. One thing that anybody in the brewing community and the beer drinking community does is drink different beers and experience what they have. So,
and at some point, we're going to talk to the audience about tasting beers and just how nerdy you can get with it, and just how nerdy we're not going to get with it. But
yeah,
for now, let's just taste a beer, and we're going to discuss it. And we sent out the ad earlier about what we're tasting, so if anybody out there has a bottle, feel free to chime in.
This is a Dogfish Head beer, which Dogfish Head is known for doing different types of beer. And that's Bono showing the mug that you can't really see.
Well, I'm actually showing the head that's developed on this beer. This is a good, thick, creamy head that's been poured on it.
It's a good sign of a beer. If you open it up, the first thing you should do is know that you're going to hear something. You're going to hear a crisp noise going on that says, okay, well, I heard that. Well, that means that it's probably a fresh beer. So that's a good thing. The second thing you're going to notice is whether it's got a good head retention, a good amount of foam on the top, because that'll let you know that the beer is actually still good inside the bottle. It hasn't oxidized. It hasn't had any bad stuff get in there, change the flavor of it. So when you're trying a beer, especially a beer like this, Dogfish Head is, they make a lot of big beers. They make a lot of strong beers, and these things have a lot more flavor than something else that may be put out. You're going to want to smell the beer. Of course, we've kind of skipped that contingency, but if you missed it, you can kind of put your hand around it and give it a little swirl, get a smell, and wow.
When brewers put together their beers, it's a lot goes into it, and the aroma is often a big part. The brewer wants you to smell the beer. As you're drinking it, you're going to smell it a little bit. They a lot of times will put ingredients in there that are just for the aroma. They just hit your nose, and you don't taste them at all. So smelling this right off the bat, there's a lot of dried fruit in there, it smells like.
Yeah, very much. It's a very complex flavor. A lot of dark, dry fruits like a raisin or like a plum almost, but not really so thin as a plum. Like almost, a date maybe. It
almost smells like a port or a brandy.
It really does. It tastes very strongly alcoholic. But it's not cloyingly alcoholic. You don't have the taste when you drink it that, oh my goodness, I just had a 12% alcohol beer, which it definitely boasts on the label.
12% alcohol, and I'm getting a little bit of that on the back.
And that's the real reason you guys chose this particular brew, I'm guessing, tonight. Cut to the chase.
Yeah. It's nice and strong.
We figured it'll dull the senses a little bit.
Dull the senses.
The FCC need not apply to our webcasts. Drinking is highly encouraged.
Basically, we'll just talk, now we've opened this beer up and gotten this started, about a little bit what our show's going to be about. We're going to actually, we want to incorporate a lot of different elements in here. We want to bring in, mainly, we want this to be something that people can have as a little community discussion and talk about beer and bring to everybody our love of beer.
We don't have any illusions of being nationwide superstars. We want our family and friends and even strangers, whoever, just to pipe in, drop in on a Tuesday evening, talk about beer, taste beer, and basically just get the word out that there's beers out there other than the stuff you get at 7-Eleven.
That's right, and there's some people watching as far as the East Coast and the West Coast and the Mid Coast, and just got a text message that we're getting watched from Virginia right now.
Nice.
So
Licks the tush.
I do have those delusions of grandeur enough for the whole team here, so I highly expect to be nationwide, if not worldwide,
Tennessee.
sometime next week.
Will be hopefully much more profitable and successful than our venture,
And
has to
consequently a lot more fun.
That's right, and whether we make it or not, who cares? Because we know we're going to be backing Richard and his television station, which is Lone Star TV here at FrontierTelevision.com. It's a pretty cool deal. He mixes a little bit of all the different types of media and puts together something that you've got the video in there, you've got the chat rooms, you've got some political discussions, you've got just a little bit of everything. It's really actually a pretty cool site.
Yeah, seriously, thank you guys very much for helping us get kicked off the right way here with a good, solid show, some content. We all know content's king in the new world of media, so we're looking forward to expanding the lineup. We'll have some more diversity in shows, but everybody loves a good drinking show, so I thought Dogleg was the way to get this thing started right. So thank you guys for helping out.
We're really not sure at this point which parts of our problems are going to kick in to create a drinking show, but we assume that eventually different factions of things that we do or motions we make or words that we say will be turned into a drinking game. So we look forward to figuring out what everybody comes up with.
We encourage that,
and
absolutely.
We absolutely encourage that. So anyway, we want to bring in one of the next things that we know is going to be a part of our show is we want to stay on the pulse of the Texas brewing, home brewing, craft brewing, and production side of the world. One of the recent events that we'll talk about right now, which is an unfortunate event, recently with the weather, the way that it's been, we actually had record snowfall, and the snow covered the roof of the RAR brewery, and it's a big flat roof, an old area of Fort Worth. They had a total collapse, cave-in of the RAR brewery. It's the damage is pretty extensive. It knocked out a bunch of their lines. A lot of problems. I think it hit some of their brewing equipment. It definitely hit their bottling line. They were able to save everything. The Coors Distributing Company across the street was able to take all of their stuff that they had in refrigeration, stuff that they needed to keep cool. They were able to take that off their hands, put it in their refrigeration units, save all that. There's still word that everything's going to be good that's in the fermenter, but it's kind of iffy. We're not really sure if the fermenters are going to be saved or whether everything's going to have a little problem. We'll see, because they may have spent a little time in the air. And back in the brewing world, you don't want anything to be touching the air. That's never a good thing. So our hearts go out to RAR, and definitely our bodies in our hands. I think the brewing world has pretty much come together and said, hey, if there's anything you guys need at RAR, we're going to be there to help you put it back together. And hopefully they'll be able to put this back together.
You hate to see something like that happen to anybody. That's a rough blow for any kind of operation, but a company like RAR, talk about how these guys are so supportive of the homebrew crowd in North Texas.
RAR does an awful lot for home brewing and for craft brewing. Specifically, one of the things we were both fortunate enough to experience last summer is they host an annual home brewing competition that we're going to have video of on this program after this summer, and that is called Iron Mash. It's similar to Iron Chef that you might see on the Food Network, only it's for beer. We show up and all we bring is yeast, and they provide all the ingredients, and we have to make a beer using only what they give us. So they're kind enough to sponsor that every year, and then they sponsor the awards banquet for that same event. And they do an awful lot for home brewing and just to try to get the word about craft brewing out there.
I agree with Chris. Buy all the beer of theirs that you can. They're going to have some problems selling their beer not right now, not in the next month, not in 2 months, but in about 3 months you'll notice that they're going to have a diminished supply on the shelves. So it's going to be hard to find. Get out there and buy it all now so that they know that you guys support them and that they're going to be able to sell their beer once they get their production back on. And we're hoping it'll be about, everything goes well and they're able to get the kind of stuff going that they need, that maybe 3 months, 4 months, they'll be back in production, which means month and a half later, some of their brews will be available.
Get you some Ugly Pug. Get me some Ugly Pug.
Rich?
The RAR, the Ugly Pug. That's some good stuff.
Ugly
Ugly Pug is a phenomenal beer.
It's
dark, but has a smooth flavor to it.
It's actually an award-winning Schwartz beer.
My face is now accepting donations.
A lot of people don't necessarily understand that style, but it's basically they put in a tiny bit of dark flavor, but in the darkest way they possibly can, into a very light beer. So it's a very odd flavor, but fantastic. It's a wonderful style, and they do a great job with their Ugly Pug. They also make an oak-aged winter warmer over the winter months, which is...
And they also make a whiskey barrel-aged winter warmer, which they, as the name implies, they age their beer in barrels that formerly held whiskey, and the flavor of the whiskey imparts itself on the beer, which is absolutely incredible. And that's one that you can only get on tap here in the Fort Worth area. So, pouring some more glasses of the Palo Santo, because this is an amazing beer.
It's a very good beer.
And one thing I noticed as it got warmer was you can really taste the flavor that was imparted on it by the fact that they aged it in wooden casks.
Actually,
you're really getting a lot of that.
Very large wooden casks.
Very large wooden casks.
As is noted on the label here, which can usually provide you a lot of information about a beer, this is actually a brown ale that they've made, and with Dogfish Head, they make a brown ale. It's going to be a lot different than everybody else's brown ale. This is going to be something that they've come up with anyway, but it is some type of a brown ale, and they age it in the largest handcrafted wooden barrels, wooden tanks that are in the U.S. right now, maybe in the world. They don't boast that, but it says there are 10,000 gallons apiece. That's a big vessel.
Mr. C chimes in that he's going to the fridge to get some Iron Thistle.
Iron Thistle.
That's a nice beer.
Very nice.
Excellent choice, Mr. C.
That's the Scotch ale that RAR makes, and very nice beer. Very nice beer.
Moving on.
Moving on to our next subject.
Coming up here at the end of March, this, 5 or 6 weeks away, is going to be the Blue Bonnet Brew-Off Homebrewing Competition. The Blue Bonnet is a fantastic event. Some of you out there may have been to this before or know what it is. It's the world's largest homebrew competition, and that's kind of hard to think about. Like, Dallas Fort Worth, really? I mean, it is the world's largest homebrew competition. It's open to everybody, and they do not cap the number of entrants. Last year, there were over 1,300 people in all the different categories of beer entering different beers for people to judge. And it's amazing. I mean, to win at that, to place at that, to do any good at that, you have to have just an absolute phenomenal beer. And just going to it really is an experience, because homebrewers are by nature creative, very, very, very creative. The possibilities are as limitless as the number of people that actually do it. I keep in touch with my cousins who are both avid homebrewers, and every time I talk to them, they're putting something else into the fermenter that I've never heard of. They're using all kinds of wood, they're using all kinds of wild spices, and you see that at a homebrewing competition. It really brings out the creativity, and you'll taste things you never even imagined could exist.
Recently, I just took a beer judging test. That's a whole other side of the beer enjoyment world. And one of the guys that was helping host the event, or actually the guy that did host the test, said something that I'm sure people have heard before and said before. It's a very poignant phrase, but it basically said that the some of the best brews in the world that he's ever had have been home brews, and some of the worst beers he's ever had have been home brews. It's it's just one of those deals where you can make something and the intent is for it to be good and it is excellent, or you can make something and the intent is for it to be normal and it turns out terrible. And we've actually
we've had a couple bad ones.
We've had a couple bad ones, and we've had some that are phenomenal. We have a dry stout sitting out on this table right now that we're hoping to do pretty well.
I think it might be better than Guinness.
Yeah, it's really a drinkable, very good beer.
Those of you who are in the Fort Worth area better come over and drink this dry stout before it's gone. Because it is.
We're having problems saving enough to bottle for our Blue Bonnet competition, but we are going to enter it in the Blue Bonnet competition. So we're hoping that the homebrew club that we belong to around here, Cap and Hair. I also actually belong to the Cobb support. There's also the North Texas Homebrewers. There's several really good clubs around here, but Cap and Hair is closest to our home, and we really enjoy the people there, and it's a lot of fun. And we're trying to really push this year to set some more records, beat our 1,300 plus that we had last year, and do a lot of good. And I think we can do it. I think we can put out there maybe 1,500 entries.
Dogleg is going to have a few entries in there.
Dogleg will have some.
We're excited to be entering the Blue Bonnet Brew Off for the second year.
We've one of our better beers, the Brown Note. We did some experimenting with it and changing of the styles.
Dave posted some love for the Brown Note on the chat earlier. Yeah. Dave is one of the people that's had it. And it was just an amazing
brewed
beer.
with us several times and helped us out a lot. Appreciate that, Dave. We definitely brew beers that taste good. That is our intent. And in brewing beers that win awards, you have to brew beers that taste like that phrase says it's supposed to taste. It's supposed to taste like. That's one of our problems. We tend to blur some lines.
We
like Dogfish Head.
We make beers that taste good, and we don't always nail the styles, which we'll eventually start doing. But our studio audience has started arriving.
Yeah, we've got
Matt in the Hat has arrived.
Andrew, welcome. Pour yourself a glass. We want to hear what you have to say about our dry stout before we enter it into Blue Bonnet.
Dude.
Set that on the ground. You guys take those seats.
Well played, Dude Huge. Yeah, Dude Huge shot out something about Kyle's Wheat Beer's husband.
Yeah. Open it up, either one. They're both
currently, we've got I guess we just racked this past weekend, an extra batch of Golden Nugget.
Golden Nugget all grain.
A 100% organic all grain beer, and so far it's tasted pretty good.
Yeah, we've got a lot of high hopes for it. We got to get some more carbonation on it before we know, but hopefully that'll be. What's that? That's a dry stout.
This one?
Yes.
Is this one Golden Nugget?
No. We were just
somebody
Golden
asked
Nugget
what
was,
we're currently brewing. So
the Golden Nugget would be a wheat. We brewed it for an American wheat, but we used a German wheat yeast, so it's got a little bit more of the German flavor and a little bubble gum to it. A little bit of the clove to the taste, and it's actually a pretty darn good beer.
Dave wants to see a beer for Mardi Gras next year. I think we can throw something together.
Hey, well, let's give a shout out to my home away from home in New Orleans. It is Fat Tuesday today, so hey, drink to Fat Tuesday, right? So
moving along,
you guys, like it? Don't like it?
I really do like it.
Huh? We've got. Oh, that's okay. We don't need that one. So the dogs just pulled our power cord, but it's okay because we're on a laptop, so that's a good thing.
Battery powered. So normally at this point in the show, I guess we have a more of a concrete topic, whether it's some kind of tip for home brewers as far as something they can purchase cheaply or manufacture themselves to better their home operation. We've also got some friends in the beer community that might come out and do a little interview segment with us. So a lot of options, but today we're kind of starting off episode 1 just kind of more generic. Let you guys settle into just speaking to the brewers out there.
Yeah, one thing we wanted to talk about with people today was broadening beer horizons. Basically, there's a lot of mass brewed.
There's a lot of beer out there.
There's a lot of beer out there that you can try. Yet the most beer that people have tried is a mass brewed, what we call in the area, yellow fizzy water.
And you don't have to be drinking the Yeti Imperial Stout
Yeah.
or Arrogant Bastard Ale to be trading.
You don't have to have Dogfish Head, Palo Santo,
Right.
Marron to be drinking good beer.
There's Stella Artois, there's St. Arnold's Lawnmower. Just about any craft brewery in this country makes a light, easy drinking beer because that's what people want to drink.
Yeah.
So,
Real down in Austin makes some very nice light beers. Everybody they tend to gravitate towards the lighter colored beers, although it's kind of a misnomer whether that's actually a lighter flavor or whether it's actually just the color. So one thing we wanted to bring up to people was that in the beer world, you don't have to be an uber nerd of beer and understand every one of the styles, because right now, of the classifications and sub-classifications, there's probably 300 plus different styles of beer out there that have names that people actually understand, and you can associate that name with a flavor. And basically it's well into, if not greater than, the wine world. And so you've got all of those and then some, because there's ideas where people cross different lines when they make a hoppy wheat beer, like one of the beers we make. There is no style for it. You make it. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't.
as a beer taster, as a beer connoisseur, you can walk into Hall's grocery store, for instance, here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, and you can walk out with a six-pack of world-class beer for $15. And there's no way on God's green earth you could do that as a wine connoisseur
Or a Scotch connoisseur.
I love port.
Or a
love
port connoisseur.
but I just can't. You just can't do it. You just
exactly
can't
right.
do it. And so get out there, try new beers, email us about them. Find one that you love. We'll throw it on next week's episode.
That's right. Yeah, if there's a beer that you absolutely love and you want our opinion on it, if you want everybody else's opinion that's involved in the chat room or involved in the episode about it, you let us know. And
are we going to do them? Or
one thing we want to do is a question and answer type portion of our program. We want to encourage people to send us questions before the show, so we have a little bit of a time to prepare. Because I'll just tell you this right now: we know a lot about beer, but we're not experts.
We don't come close to knowing it.
We
all.
know, and
Matt knows
Matt
a lot
agrees.
more about beer than we
Yeah,
do,
Matt-
and he doesn't know it all. There's so much to know. So if you send us a question and we don't know the answer, we'll find it.
We know the
Because
people
we know the
that
people
will
that
be
ask.
able to tell us, and hopefully we'll be able to have a lot of these people on the program here in the future. So yeah, please email us, let us know. We've got actually a question on here that we're going to go ahead and put on there. That was from Matt from High Point, North Carolina. Asks, I'm about to brew and I bought a wort chiller finally. My plan was to do it in the sink, meaning chill his beer in the sink. Not like you dirty-minded people would be thinking, but I know a lot of people do it outside with the hose. Are you worried about when you're chilling outside with the hose that you're going to contaminate your wort with different bacteria and whatnot that are outside? He says, I know I'm a little crazy about beer contamination, but I just assumed it was safer inside. And my thought on this, and I'm looking at it from a person who lives with somebody who cooks quite a bit of food, does a lot of her own from-scratch meals, uses her own yeast and malted from her own scratch bread type meals. There are way more bacteria and contaminants floating around in a kitchen than there ever could be outside. So the fact that you would compare something to outside or inside, it's way, and actually there you go, Chris Thumel just chimed in and said there are 5 times more air pollutants inside than outside. And that's exactly right. And the thing about brewing is that it doesn't have to be something that is quote-unquote a pollutant. It just has to be something that makes a beer not taste good. The same yeast that ferments beer does not ferment bread. Therefore, what makes a good bread, what may be sitting in your house, doesn't make a good beer.
The only sure way to really do this, and nothing's going to be 100%, but just chill it as quickly as possible. When you're chilling your boiling wort, that is when your beer is at its most fragile. That's when the biggest chance for contamination occurs. And so just get it down to temperature as quick as possible. If for you that means taking it into your kitchen and putting it in an ice bath, do it. Just get it down. Just get it down as quick as possible.
You're ideally shooting for 15 to 20 minutes. If you can get your beer cooled in 15 to 20 minutes, you're fine. The next step is making sure that where you're putting your beer, i.e. your carboy, your fermentation vessel, whatever it happens to be, is ideally clean, pristinely sanitized. You spend, what would you guys say? You spend 50% of your time brewing and 50% of your time cleaning? I mean, you really do spend a lot of time cleaning. And so
cleanliness is next to godliness.
That's right.
It might even be greater than godliness. Yeah. So, we're getting close to the end of the program here. Hope everybody enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
And we're looking forward to doing this on a weekly basis.
Yeah,
So,
nicely done, guys. I think that was a good first episode to have under...
I'm sorry?
Sorry, I was cross-talking there. This is a good first episode to have under our belts.
I think so, and I think... Kyle, what are we tasting next week?
I think next week we're going to try the Southern Star's Pale Ale.
Southern Star Pale Ale,
which I'm not sure if that's actually called a Pale Ale, but I've got 4 cans of it in the Pine Belt Pale. Now.
Pine Bluff Pale Ale.
We've never had that, and we'll be experiencing it for the first time with you guys. So buy that, support another local Texas brewery, and we'll have that all together next week.
Support local breweries, everyone.
Yeah, please.
I mean, I've never had the Budweiser American Ale. It might be a phenomenal beer, but support your local breweries.
Very much not.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just not a fan of rice, apparently.
And Guinness. Support your local breweries and support Guinness.
That troubled little Irish brewery. They need all the help they can get.
That tiny little brewery that could.
They're surviving on potatoes, for the love of God.
Potatoes. So as you can see by the empty glasses, we're getting close to the end here.
Well, before we wrap up, I just want to again put another call out for questions to the viewing audience and potential future fans. If they got any questions or comments you want to get included in the next show, the email address is just webcast@doglegbrewery.com. We'll get those questions in and filter them to the brewmeisters here. You can also
help us make this show better, because if you don't help, we're going to have to do it.
Oh yeah, and beyond the questions,
that's not cool.
Beyond the questions, let us know what worked, what didn't. If there's more you want, if there's different things you want, if it was fun in a certain part and it wasn't fun in another part, just let us know. This is going to be tailored to our audience,
and we realize that we have faces for radio, but we're okay with it.
Yeah.
We'll fix it in post. All right, and next week, same time, same place. Sound good?
Same time, same place.
Somebody says we need a backdrop with the Dogleg logo.
Well, we're working on a very large banner, actually, 3x6, coming out of High Point, North Carolina, which oddly enough is the same place we got tonight's question from.
Yeah,
that's an interesting coincidence. That's weird.
Where would we be without North Carolina? That state is single-handedly supporting the show. It's amazing.
I have no idea.
Why do they have such an interest in Texas local brewing? I have no idea.
Thanks so much, everybody. We really appreciate you.
Hey, thank you very much for tuning in.
Thanks, guys.
Lift a leg.
Lift a leg. Oh, wait. Where's our sign off? Are we done yet? Can I do the sign off that I forgot?
You're doing whatever you want. You're under credits now.
All right. I just wanted to say that remember out there, we are not professionals, so please try this at home.
Oh, that's good. That's a keeper. Somebody write that down real fast.
All right, ruffle papers so we seem more knowledgeable of the subject matter. Thank you. All right. All right, thank you guys.
Andrew Bono.
Nice to meet you.
The crowd's going wild over here.
Woo!
Was that a sheet man?
Have you logged us out yet, or are we still on TV?
We're technically broadcasting. I'm just finishing out the record, make sure it goes smoothly. Wouldn't want to clip off that great tag out.
What? Want to flip off the what?
I said I wouldn't want to clip off that great tag out and make sure the recording finishes.